Okay, sorry, I think there was some issue on the mic. So let's start. Okay. So yeah, so in this particular demo, we are going to cover Fortinet firewall. So let me just talk about what is the Fortinet basically. So Fortinet is one of the vendor. Okay, it's a US based company. It's a they have 50 plus product for the enterprise or small businesses. And Fortinet nowadays it is a leader in the market. I mean, in most of the data center or in the most of client, you would see this firewall, Fortinet firewall. The reason it's cheaper than any other firewall. Okay, so if you compare Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Fortinet, Cisco, so Fortinet is cheaper than any other vendor, and they are supporting all the next generation firewall, and that's why they are capturing the market very fast. So if I talk about next generation firewall feature, so next generation firewall feature, just I mean, in next generation firewall, we have some feature. So you can take example that next generation firewall is supporting application control. Next generation firewall is supporting sandboxing. So all these feature of the next generation firewall. So Fortinet company has a FortiGate firewall, and this FortiGate firewall, this is a standalone box, and this can support multiple features. Okay, so it can do the firewall and VPN part. That means firewalling is nothing but the filtering of the traffic. So it can filter the traffic based on the source IP, destination IP, application number, port number, okay, based on the URL domain name. It can do the filter the traffic. Also, it can act as a VPN concentrator. That means this firewall can provide the VPN facility, using which user can connect through the VPN, or you can connect any other location via VPN. So this is supporting the site-to-site VPN and remote access VPN, both it is supporting. This is supporting intrusion prevention system. Okay, so intrusion prevention system is known as a IPS in short. So this feature is going to protect your network against a different vulnerability. Okay, it is supporting web proxy. So you can use the firewall as a proxy devices where you can filter the specific type of URLs. It is supporting antivirus. Okay, so it is network based. I mean, if there is any virus is coming to your network via firewall, so firewall antivirus system would get activated and it is going to block those kind of packets. It is supporting web filtering, it is supporting sandboxing, SSL inspection. So all these features is supported by this particular firewall. So you can see firewall, app control, intrusion prevention system. This feature you would see almost in the next generation firewall. Apart from that, firewall having the antivirus URL filtering. This is part of threat prevention. And in advanced threat prevention, sandboxing and SSL inspection is a part of advanced threat prevention. This particular firewall you can purchase as a hardware and you can purchase as a virtual machine as also. Okay, so if you are purchasing hardware, you are going to get dedicated a security hardware device for for inspection of the packet. But if you are using any kind of SSL, so maybe some of the security feature would be slow in virtual device. Now moving to next, this I mean Fortinet firewall. Fortinet firewall has a different models. Okay, so they have the firewall for branch offices, they have the firewall for campus network, they have the firewall for data center. Okay, and these are the model you can see. So as per your requirement, you can go for the box. Okay, accordingly your budget would be going to be increase or decrease. So if you are purchasing for branch offices, okay, you can go for any of the device. For example, you can go for FortiGate 40F. Okay, and if you want to go for high model, you can go for FortiGate 80F. So these are the models we have. Moving to next, we will talk about the certification. So like any other vendor, FortiGate Firewall, Fortinet has also certification program, and the certification program is showing that you have a knowledge of their product. So we have NSE1, NSE2, NSE3. These are the certification. This is for the awareness. Then we have technical certification, NSE4, NSE5, NSE6. These are the technical certification. They are actually, you are going to learn a different feature of the firewall, right? We have NSE7, this is advanced, and we have NSE8, which is expert. And if you want to know about these certification more, so you can refer to this slide. So NSE1, NSE2, NSE3, this is a basic awareness, but NSE4 is a professional certificate. So here you can see manage day-to-day configuration and monitoring on and operation on the FortiGate firewall. And NSE5, there you are going to, this is analyst. So here you are going to learn how to implement network and security management and analytics. So here you are going to learn that how you can integrate your FortiGate firewall through the FortiGate manager and FortiGate analyzer, so that you can manage the different location firewall from single place, which is FortiGate manager. And similarly, if you want to see the log of all firewall in a single device, so you can use FortiGate analyzer. Through that, you can integrate your firewall and you can see all the logs of your firewall. This is specialist certification. Here you are going to develop understanding of fabric and product. So in FortiGate, we have a different fabric. So one of the fabric is a security fabric. You are going to learn this thing. This is architect level certification. And then finally, we have expert level certification. This is the course content for NSE4 that we are going to cover here. So in NSE4, we are going to talk about introduction of the firewall. Then we will talk about routing and its a fundamental. That means how you can configure route, etc. We will talk about how you can configure DHCP services on the firewall, how you can do the address translation, how you can configure virtual switches over here, how you can configure policies, how you can configure inbound SSL and outbound SSL, how you can configure web filtering, DNS filtering, how you can add application control, antivirus, intrusion prevention system, how you can prevent your network from DDoS, how you can configure VPN, how you can configure virtual domains. Okay, so we are going to touch FortiGate manager a bit. And then you can configure your firewall in a transparent mode. Basically, this is a bridge mode. How you can configure HA, you can configure user authentication. We will talk about two-factor authentication. Okay, and we will talk about the fundamental of SD-WAN. And finally, we will talk about the troubleshooting of FortiGate firewalls. So this is the overall syllabus. Do you have any questions so far? Okay, so if there is no question, I would move to lab. So let's talk about the lab. So this is our lab, and this lab is accessible 24/7. You can access this from anywhere. Okay, so you don't, to perform the lab, you don't need to do any additional configuration. We are going to provide this lab with course. So once you join the course, okay, you can access our lab using this website, labs.netminion.net. Okay, you can log in there and then post the login. You can open the lab. So this lab is 24/7 available, and you can access this lab from any network. And to configure this lab, you don't require any additional software or any additional things. Just on the browser itself, you can open the lab. You can click on the device, and that device is going to be open on the browser itself. So for example, I clicked on this device. Okay, so that is going to be opened over here. On the terminal itself. This device has gone open. If I click any other device, that device would also going to be open. So for example, I just want to access this device, this firewall. This device has been open in the terminal. If you go to terminal, you can see over here that device. Similarly, you can open these kind of devices. It's a pretty simple. If you want to turn off any device, you can turn off by just clicking on that device. It is going to be turned off. And if you want to turn on, just click on that device. It is going to be turned on. So to manage this lab, this is very simple. Just access the lab, and from there you can access all the device, their consoles, and you can configure them as well. So for example, I just want to configure IP address on this firewall. Okay, so port number 1, port number 2, port number 3, port number 4 we have on the firewall. So I just want to configure IP address. Okay, so I would let you know that what the command you need to run to configure any IP address on the firewall. Okay, so for that we would provide a step-by-step lab guide using which you can configure the IP address. Okay, so for example, I just want to configure IP address on firewall 1. So let me just configure the IP address. Let's log in. Default username is admin, password is nothing. Okay, I'm just going to assign password. New password is test at 123. Test at 123. So I'm inside the firewall. If I just want to configure IP address, first of all, I can run the command where I can see the interfaces. So there is a command show system interfaces. And using this command, you can see the interfaces. So we have port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. These are the interfaces we have. We want to configure them. So this is the command config system interface. Using this command, I can configure the interface. So let's quit from here and try to run config system interface. Then I need to run this command, edit port 1. So just run edit port 1. And then the mode of this interface is set to DSCP. So I would change it. I would change the mode as a static. So let me just run over here. Set mode is static. And then I can assign IP address. So there is a command. It is not showing over here because there is no IP address. So there is a command set IP. And the IP I just want to set 10.0.0.1 and subnet mask 255.255.255.0. IP has been set. And I'm just going to allow some services on this IP so that I can access the firewall. So you can see using this command, you can allow some services on this interface port 1. Okay. So for example, ping service I just want to allow. So I would say allow ping. HTTP service I just want to allow. I would say allow HTTP. HTTPS service I just want to allow. I would say HTTPS. And if I just want to access using SSH, so I would run this command and just press enter. So those services has been allowed. If you want to save this, you just press this, you just type this, and if you type abort, this is going to not to be saved, but if you type and, this is going to saved. Okay, so all things has been saved. If you want to verify that IP has been set or not, so you can run the command show system interface. So using this, you can see that IP for port number 1 has been set. So using this command, you can set the IP. I would set the IP for firewall 2 also. Let me set. Let's log in. There is no password by default, but new password would be test at 123. Test at 123. And I would run the command show system interface. Using this, we can see what is the IP we have. I just want to set the IP, so I need to run this command config system interface. Enter. And now I would edit port 1. Enter and try to set the IP. So first of all, I would change the mode. This is DHCP, so I would set as a static and then set IP 10.0.0.1 and subnet mask would be 255.255.255.0. Okay. And then I'm just going to allow some of the services. So set allow access. Ping I just want to allow. HTTPS I just want to allow. HTTP I just want to allow. SSH I just want to allow. These are the services I just want to allow. And then I would run the command end, and this is going to be saved using show system interface. I can verify. So this has been set. Okay. I have set wrong IP address. I have to set 2 over here. Let's edit. Config system interface. Edit port 1. Set 2 and then press end. And you can see show system interface. Using this, we can verify that IP has been set. Now I just want to check the connectivity, whether from firewall 1 to firewall 2 connectivity is there or not. So I can use the basic command, ping command, to check the connectivity. So let's say try to run ping. Sorry, not this, but we have to run this command, execute ping, and I'm on firewall 2. I would try to ping firewall 1. Spelling is wrong. Execute. You can see I have a connectivity. You can check from there as well. Execute ping 10.0.0.2. Yeah, I have connectivity. I would try to have the connectivity from this management PC to this firewall. So let's access this management PC through which I can access GUI of the firewall. And let's go and configure the interface. This interface I would assign IP from the same VLAN, I mean same subnet. So for this PC, I'm putting the IP 10.0.0.10. Subnet mask would be 255.255.255.0. See if I can ping from this system to my firewall. Ping 10.0.0.1. You can see I have connectivity. So I just want to access firewall using GUI. I can check both firewall, that for both firewall we have connectivity or not. So for both firewall we have connectivity. I can try to access my firewall. So using HTTP, you can access your firewall. Don't try using HTTPS, because HTTPS only going to work if you activate the license. So since we are accessing first time, I type HTTP and the firewall IP, and there I would put username, admin, and password test at 123, and I would be able to see the console of my firewall, GUI console of my firewall. So this is going to show me the option that I can specify the host name, dashboard setup I can do. So I would say if I just want to do right now, I can say, okay, begin. And if I just want to do later, I would say later. So I have said later. So this is going to show me some videos. Okay. And post this, I can close these videos. don't show me this again. Okay, fine. So this is the dashboard of your firewall. What the information you can see on the dashboard of your firewall? You can see the host name, you can see the serial number, and you can see the firmware version. So this is really important. Like someone is saying which FortiGate version you have worked, so you can see from here 7.0.0. This is the version. Firewall is configured on the net mode. This is the time you can see, and these are the licenses information you can see, right? So all these basic information you can see. This is the dashboard. Let's say I just want to see about the interfaces, that what all the interface available interface we have. So I would click on this interface option, sorry, network option, and I would click on this interface. So I can see all the available interfaces. So for example, for this interface, port 2, I just want to assign IP address using GUI. So I would click on this interface option, and this is port 2. I would select this and click on edit, and then I can assign the alias name as well, and I can assign the IP address. So for example, this port 2 I'm going to use as a LAN side, okay, and port 3 I would use as a WAN side. So I'm going to assign the IP for LAN and WAN. So maybe for our LAN, I can say this interface port 2 belongs to LAN, and for LAN I would use this IP 192.168.2.1. This would be my LAN IP 192.168.2.1. This is my LAN IP, and subnet mask is what? 255.255.255. This is my subnet mask. This is a manual. I can give the comment for this interface, and now I can click on OK. So I can verify whether I have changed the IP using GUI. So whether this has been changed on CLI side or not. So I can run the command by going to the firewall, and I can run the command show system interface. I have changed on the firewall one. So I can run the command show system interface. And you can see for this port 2, IP has been assigned. Okay, so now what I would do, I would verify whether I can ping port number 2 or not. So I would assign some IP to this laptop, which is behind this firewall. So let me just assign some IP to this laptop. So I'm on laptop 3. I'm going to assign IP 192.168.2.10/24, and its gateway is 192.168.2.1. And then I would try to ping my gateway from here to check whether we have a connectivity to the gateway or not. Right now it is showing timeout. Why? Because you can see on this interface, we don't have any allowed services. So I haven't allowed ping to the interface, and that's why the interface I'm not able to ping. So if I just want to ping interface, I need to allow that. So let me show how we can allow using GUI. So let's select this interface, click on edit, and there you would be able to see on the below that what all the services you want to allow on this particular interface. So for example, I would try to allow ping and SSH. Okay. So I have allowed these two services. I can click on OK. And after that, you would see from laptop 3, if I try again, I should be able to ping. Okay. Now I would go to another interface. This is port number 2. For port number 3, I would assign some IP. So let me assign port number 3 is WAN interface, I would say. So for port number 3, I just want to assign IP. Select port number 3, click on edit, give some name. For example, this is WAN interface. WAN interface. And for WAN interface, let's say I'm going to assign IP 100.0.0.1, let's say. And subnet mask 255.255.255.0. And for this WAN interface, I'm not going to allow any services. Let's click on OK. So I have assigned IP to my LAN interface. I have assigned IP to my WAN interface. Let me see if I can show you using command prompt. So I can run the command prompt separately by going on the firewall, or I can run the command prompt if I am on management. So from here, I can open the CLI. So that's the same thing. It is going to open the CLI. So you don't need to do SSH to the firewall, or not need to access the console of firewall. You can directly access from here itself, from this small CLI console button. So I can run the command show system interface, and this would be showing me all the detail of the system interface. Similarly, we have the now what we have the network we have configured. Now we just want to allow or deny something through the firewall. So I can go to this policy and object. From there, I can create a firewall policy. By default, you would see some policy would be by default, if you send the traffic through the firewall, okay, firewall is going to block this, and this is going to block just because of this implicit rule. So on the top of this implicit rule, implicit is denied. That means everything is denied through the firewall. But if you would just want to allow something, so you can create a policy using this option. You can create a policy. There you can give the policy name, allow traffic for internet. Allow internet access. So you can see if traffic is coming from port 1 interface, which is LAN interface, outgoing interface is WAN interface, source is any, and destination is all. Source and destination, any I have mentioned. Services is what? I can take right now all services, but this is not well. We have to define specific things. So what it should do? It should accept the traffic, plus it is going to NAT the traffic using the outgoing interface, and that's it. We can give some comment, and then we can click on OK. So this is the firewall policy we have defined, and this firewall policy is saying that if the traffic is coming through your firewall interfaces, so traffic should be allowed. Okay. How we can verify? Let me assign some IP to this interface, gig 0/0. I would consider that this is a ISP router, and I just want to allow some traffic on this gig 0/0. So go here and interface gig 0/0. Let me assign IP address 100.0.0.254, subnet mask 255.255.0, no shut, and then exit from here. I have just assigned IP address. I would try to ping this ISP router from this laptop 3. So laptop 3 would be sending traffic to my firewall port number 2, and using port number 3, traffic would be netted and going to this ISP router. So let's see. From laptop 3, I would try to ping ISP router. So try to ping ISP router, ping 100.0.0.254 -t. I'm trying. You can see I'm able to ping, and I can do the netting as well over here. I mean, let's verify that ping traffic is coming to this ISP or not. So using this command, you can debug the ping traffic. So debug IP ICMP, debug is on, and you can see that my router is going to reply to this IP 100.0.0.1. So what is happening currently? Currently my traffic is going to this laptop which is having this IP 192.168.2.10. This is sending the traffic to this port 2. Port 2 having this IP 192.168.2.1. So it's sending the traffic to its gateway, and then firewall is doing a NAT using a port number 3. So it's doing port number 3 having this IP 100.0.0.1. So it's doing a NAT. Okay. And after netting, this is sending traffic to this one. So when my router is receiving, it is not receiving to this particular IP. This is receiving the traffic from this IP, from the netted one. And that's why when I debug, so my router is replying to this IP, not to this IP. Okay. Any question so far? So let's clear this. So how I can ensure that this is going through the firewall only? Let me just disable that rule. I'm going to disable that rule which I have used to allow the traffic. So go here and try to disable this rule. So go here and let me delete this for now. Okay, so I have deleted this. Immediately change has been saved, and then see whether my laptop would be able to ping. No, it's not able to ping. So that means using firewall, you can filter the traffic, what traffic should be allowed and what traffic is not allowed. That you can do using the firewall. Okay, so that's all I had for this demo. If you have any question, please let me know. Anyone? Okay, so if there is no question, let me stop here. And I would say thanks to everyone. Thanks for joining this particular demo.